Hello everyone, and welcome to my BNB CBS Gossip 24 channel. The latest developments on the bold and the beautiful unfold as a richly layered emotional and professional battlefield, where family loyalty, romantic history, power struggles, and ambition collide in ways that feel both inevitable and explosively personal, beginning with the central rupture between sisters as Brooke slaps Katie, an act that symbolizes years of buried resentment finally breaking the surface, while at the same time Forrester Finnegan asserts her authority with Icy. Resolved by ordering Hope Logan Spencer to fire Deke Sharp, a decision that reverberates through Forrester Creations and lands like a gut punch to Hope's sense of autonomy and compassion, all while Katie Spencer throws an unexpected curveball at Brooke Logan Forrester by revealing her bold leap into the fashion world with a brand new fashion house funded by Bill Spencer. A gift so grand and destabilizing that it forces Brooke to confront her own doubts, insecurities, and complicated feelings about her sister's place in an industry Brooke herself fought decades to conquer. At the heart of the professional conflict lies the Forrester design office, where Deke Sharp's anxious conversation with Carter Walton underscores the brutal uncertainty of corporate life, as Deke fishes for reassurance about his future only to be met with Carter's carefully worded caution that there is a lot at stake. Language that feels ominous precisely because it avoids false comfort, reinforcing that hope for the future is under intense scrutiny and must be backed by nothing less than the strongest possible design team, a sentiment that subtly foreshadows Steffi's looming decision and highlights how creative dreams are often sacrificed on the altar of business pragmatism. Hope's subsequent attempt to plead Deke's case to Steffi becomes a study in contrasting leadership styles and moral philosophies, as Hope approaches the conversation with empathy and a belief in second chances, while Steffi remains unyielding, framing the issue strictly in terms of efficiency and necessity, insisting that Forrester Creations cannot justify paying someone they do not absolutely need, especially when Thomas Forrester and Zend Forrester Dominguez are available to handle the full creative load, a rationale that may be sound on paper but ignores the emotional and psychological toll it places on Hope, who cannot help but allude to the discomfort and emotional landmines of working so closely with Thomas. Given their deeply fraught past, only to have Steffi shut down that concern by reiterating that this is business, not personal, a refrain Steffi often uses as both shield and sword, allowing her to maintain control while dismissing the lived emotional realities of others. Steffi's insistence that Hope herself deliver the news to Deke adds another layer of cruelty disguised as leadership, forcing Hope into the role of executioner despite her objections and thereby deepening her sense of helplessness within a company that bears her name yet frequently strips her of real power. A dynamic that becomes painfully evident when Deke later approaches Hope brimming with excitement over new sketches, his optimism tragically out of sync with the grim reality she must now convey, and the moment she stops him, apologizes, and explains the situation encapsulates the quiet devastation of dashed dreams, as Deke's brave attempt to mask his disappointment and reassure Hope that he will not abandon his aspirations only underscores the loss they both feel, culminating in a hug that speaks volumes about mutual respect, unrealized potential, and the human cost of corporate decisions. Meanwhile, the ripple effects of Steffi's choice extend to the showroom, where Ridge Forrester updates Brooke on Thomas's return to Hope for the future and Deke's dismissal. Information that immediately triggers Brooke's protective instincts toward Hope and her long-standing wariness of Steffi's tendency to prioritize Forrester bloodlines over Logan interests, prompting Brooke to worry aloud about how Hope will react to Thomas once again being placed above her comfort and creative vision, a concern rooted not only in maternal love but also in Brooke's broader history of watching her children navigate a Forrester-dominated world that often marginalizes them. Yet while Brooke is preoccupied with Hope's professional vulnerability, she is blindsided by Katie's own life-altering news, delivered after Katie's conversation with Bill Spencer and Will Spencer about her new fashion house. As Katie arrives at Forrester Creations radiating a mix of excitement and nervous energy while revealing that Bill's wedding gift is nothing less than the funding for her own fashion brand, a gesture so extravagant that it borders on surreal and immediately raises questions about motivation, sustainability, and the true cost of such generosity, questions Brooke cannot help but voice as she reacts with visible skepticism, pointing out that Forrester Creations took years of blood, sweat, and sacrifice to establish its reputation and that success in fashion is not simply a matter of money but of vision, resilience, and relentless effort. Katie, however, remains undeterred, acknowledging that the idea may sound crazy while still expressing confidence in her readiness to tackle the challenge. A confidence that unsettles Brooke precisely because it forces her to confront an uncomfortable truth. That Katie is stepping into a world Brooke has long considered her own domain, and doing so with Bill's backing, which introduces a complicated blend of sibling rivalry, latent resentment, and fear of being overshadowed or undermined. Brooke's suggestion that the new venture might be called Spencer Fashions is met with Katie's thoughtful hesitation and her invitation for Brooke to help come up with a name, a moment that ostensibly signals sisterly inclusion but is laced with subtext, as Brooke's tepid response and pensive expression betray her internal conflict between wanting to support Katie and doubting her ability to succeed independently in such a cutthroat industry, an internal struggle that mirrors the broader theme of the episode, the tension between love and competition, support and skepticism, family loyalty and personal ambition. This tension reaches its most visceral expression in the physical altercation between Brooke and Katie, where Brooke's slap is not merely an impulsive act of anger but the culmination of years of unresolved issues involving Bill, professional jealousy, perceived judgment, and emotional wounds that never fully healed, transforming what could have been a celebratory moment for Katie into a painful reminder that the Logan sisters' bond is as fragile as it is deep, and that success for one often feels like a threat to the other. Throughout these intertwined storylines, the script deftly explores how power dynamics operate within both family and corporate structures, showing how Steffi's authority at Forrester Creations allows her to make decisive, often ruthless choices that ripple outward to affect Hope's sense of agency and Deke's livelihood, while Bill's financial power enables him to reshape Katie's future with a single grand gesture that simultaneously empowers and destabilizes her, and Brooke, caught between these forces, struggles to maintain her identity as both matriarch and mogul, protector and competitor. The emotional resonance of the episode lies in its refusal to present any of these conflicts as purely right or wrong, instead inviting viewers to empathize with Hope's heartbreak, Deke's resilience, Steffi's uncompromising pragmatism, Katie's cautious optimism, and Brooke's conflicted skepticism, all of which are grounded in believable motivations shaped by years of shared history, betrayals, triumphs, and losses, by juxtaposing the quiet devastation of a young designer losing his job with the explosive revelation of a sister launching a rival fashion house. The narrative underscores how change, whether imposed or chosen, is rarely painless, and how progress in the world of the bold and the beautiful often comes at the expense of emotional stability, forcing characters to confront who they are, what they value, and how far they are willing to go to protect their dreams and their families. Ultimately, this chapter in the ongoing saga serves as a potent reminder that in a world where fashion, family, and fortune are inextricably linked, every decision carries weight, every gesture has consequences, and even acts intended as gifts or necessities can become catalysts for conflict, leaving Brooke staring into an uncertain future where her daughter's career hangs in the balance, her sister charts a daring new course, and the fault lines between love and rivalry grow ever more pronounced, setting the stage for further confrontations, alliances, and emotional reckonings that promise to keep viewers riveted as these stories continue to unfold in dramatic, unforgettable fashion. Steffi orders Hope to fire Deke, Katie's curveball for Brooke. Steffi Forrester Finnegan ordered Hope Logan Spencer to fire Deke Sharp while Katie Spencer delivered a curveball to Brooke Logan Forrester. In the Forrester design office, Deke fished for answers about his future at the company during a conversation with Carter Walton. Carter could only say there was a lot at stake and that Hope for the future would need the best design team behind it. Hope tried to convince Steffi to let Deke stay on her line. However, Steffi was adamant that they couldn't have someone on the payroll that they didn't need. Since Thomas Forrester and Zend Forrester Dominguez could handle all the designs, she insisted Deke had to go. Hope hinted about the discomfort of working with Thomas considering their history, but Steffi argued this was about business. In the end, Steffi stood her ground and suggested Hope should be the one to break the news to Deke that he was out. Soon after, Deke excitedly showed Hope some new sketches, but she stopped him and explained the situation. Hope was apologetic since it was out of her hands. Deke put on a brave face and assured Hope that he wouldn't give up on his dreams, but they were both bummed about not working together as they hugged. In the showroom, Ridge Forrester gave Brooke updates on Thomas's return to Hope for the future and the fact that Deke was being let go. Brooke worried about Hope's reaction since Steffi's brother was taking priority over Hope's. After Katie discussed her new fashion house with Bill Spencer and Will Spencer, she joined Brooke at Forrester Creations and revealed Bill's amazing wedding present. Katie knew it probably sounded crazy for Bill to give her a fashion house, so Brooke acknowledged that it indeed did. Brooke also pointed out that it took Forrester Creations years to build their brand, but Katie was ready to tackle this challenge anyway. Although Brooke admitted Bill's gift was sweet, she clearly didn't have a lot of faith in Katie's abilities and seemed weirded out by all this. Brooke asked if this new fashion house would be called Spencer Fashions, but Katie suggested maybe her sister could help come up with a name. Despite Brooke's attempt to be happy for Katie and her new venture, she had a pensive look on her face as they hugged. Reshaping relationships and exposing fault lines that have long existed beneath the polished surface of Forrester Creations and the Logan family, as the emotional consequences of Steffi Forrester Finnegan's hardline leadership, Hope Logan Spencer's quiet suffering, and Katie Spencer's daring new beginning begin to fully register with everyone involved. In the aftermath of Deke Sharp's dismissal, Hope finds herself grappling not only with guilt but with a deeper sense of betrayal by the system. She once believed she could help reform from within, as hope for the future increasingly feels less like her passion project and more like a battleground where her values are constantly compromised, forcing her to question whether she truly has a voice in a company that bears the Forrester name far more loudly than her own. And this internal conflict intensifies as she reflects on Steffi's unwavering insistence that the decision was just business, a phrase that now echoes in Hope's mind with chilling detachment, stripping away any illusion that compassion or personal history can coexist comfortably with corporate authority. Deke's absence is felt almost immediately in the design room, where the creative atmosphere grows heavier and more restrained, as Thomas Forrester and Zend Forrester Dominguez step seamlessly into their expanded roles, producing polished, technically impressive designs that nevertheless lack the fresh, earnest energy Deke brought to the table, an absence Hope notices keenly as she watches sketches come together with precision but little soul, reinforcing her fear that the line is losing its heart in the pursuit of efficiency and reinforcing her discomfort at being forced into close collaboration with Thomas, whose presence serves as a constant reminder of past manipulation, emotional trauma, and unresolved tension that no amount of professional polish can fully erase. Thomas, for his part, appears determined to prove himself, presenting his work with confidence and a carefully measured humility, yet beneath his calm exterior lies an undercurrent of ambition and a desire for redemption that Hope senses but cannot fully trust. Creating a dynamic thick with unspoken questions about whether true change is possible or whether history is doomed to repeat itself, Steffi, meanwhile, remains outwardly untroubled by the fallout of her decision, doubling down on her belief that strong leadership requires making unpopular choices and refusing to apologize for prioritizing what she sees as the long-term success of Forrester Creations, even as subtle signs of strain emerge in her personal life, where balancing her roles as CEO, wife, and mother becomes increasingly difficult, and moments of solitude reveal fleeting doubts about whether her ironclad approach is slowly alienating those she claims to protect. Doubts she quickly suppresses by reminding herself that vulnerability in leadership can be mistaken for weakness. Ridge Forrester finds himself caught in the familiar position of mediator, attempting to smooth tensions between Steffi and Hope while reassuring Brooke Logan Forrester that Thomas's return to Hope for the future is both temporary and necessary, yet Ridge's assurances ring hollow to Brooke, who has seen too many cycles of promise and disappointment to take comfort in words alone. And as she watches her daughter navigate a workplace that repeatedly prioritizes Forrester interests over Logan well-being, Brooke's protective instincts intensify, pushing her to consider whether it is time to advocate more aggressively for Hope or even encourage her to consider alternatives outside the Forrester orbit. This contemplation is complicated by Katie's bold announcement, which continues to reverberate through Brooke's thoughts long after their initial conversation, as the idea of Katie launching her own fashion house forces Brooke to confront her own insecurities about relevance, legacy, and the possibility of being eclipsed by her younger sister in an industry Brooke once dominated with unquestioned authority. Katie, meanwhile, steps tentatively yet resolutely into her new role as a fashion entrepreneur, spending long hours researching fabrics, studying market trends, and assembling a small but dedicated team, driven by a desire to prove that Bill Spencer's extravagant gift is not a hollow gesture but an opportunity she intends to earn through hard work and vision. Even as she struggles with the weight of expectations and the knowledge that any misstep will be attributed not to inexperience but to nepotism and Bill's financial backing, Bill himself oscillates between pride and overprotectiveness, eager to see Katie succeed yet prone to offering unsolicited advice and resources that threaten to undermine her independence, creating friction as Katie insists on carving out her own identity separate from both Bill's influence and the shadow of Forrester creations, a determination that strengthens her resolve even as it fuels Brooke's quiet skepticism. Will Spencer watches these developments with cautious optimism, supportive of his mother's ambition yet acutely aware of the emotional toll it takes, particularly as tensions between Brooke and Katie escalate, culminating in the explosive confrontation that leads to Brooke slapping Katie, a moment that sends shockwaves through the family and leaves both sisters reeling in its aftermath. For Brooke, the slap is immediately followed by a rush of regret and self-reproach, as she recognizes that her reaction was driven less by Katie's actions and more by her own unresolved fears of displacement and inadequacy, fears she has spent years burying beneath confidence and control, while Katie, stunned and hurt, is forced to reckon with the painful realization that her pursuit of independence has reopened old wounds and reignited sibling rivalries she believed they had long since outgrown. The emotional distance created by this incident lingers, casting a shadow over future interactions and complicating any attempt at reconciliation, as both women retreat into themselves to process what the confrontation reveals about their relationship and about themselves. Against this backdrop of familial and professional upheaval, Carter Walton becomes an increasingly important figure, navigating the legal and ethical complexities of Forrester Creations' decisions while serving as a quiet confidant to those caught in the crossfire. His conversation with Deke echoing in his mind as he begins to question whether the company's relentless pursuit of efficiency is eroding its moral foundation, a concern that grows as he witnesses Hope's diminishing enthusiasm and Brooke's rising discontent. Deke, for his part, refuses to let his dismissal define him, channeling his disappointment into renewed determination as he seeks opportunities elsewhere, sketching late into the night and networking with anyone willing to look beyond his recent firing. His resilience serving as a poignant counterpoint to the corporate indifference that cast him aside and hinting at the possibility that his journey is far from over. As these storylines intersect and evolve, the narrative emphasizes how deeply intertwined personal identity and professional success are in this world, where careers are built and destroyed within the context of family loyalty, romantic entanglements, and long-standing rivalries, and where every decision reverberates far beyond its immediate impact, shaping futures in ways no one can fully predict. Hope's growing disillusionment, Steffi's uncompromising authority, Katie's tentative empowerment, Brooke's simmering insecurity, and Deke's quiet perseverance all contribute to a richly textured exploration of ambition and consequence, underscoring the central truth of the bold and the beautiful, that beauty, whether in fashion or in life, often masks deep fractures beneath the surface, and that the pursuit of success invariably demands sacrifices that test the limits of love, loyalty, and self-belief. As the characters move forward, carrying the weight of recent events with them, the stage is set for new alliances to form, old wounds to reopen, and unexpected turns to challenge everything they think they know about themselves and each other, ensuring that the drama continues to unfold with the emotional intensity and complexity that has long defined this iconic soap opera, leaving viewers eagerly anticipating the next chapter in a saga where no victory is ever without cost and no relationship emerges unscathed. As the dust continues to settle, the emotional consequences of these intertwined conflicts begin to manifest in quieter but no less powerful ways across the bold and the beautiful, revealing how deeply the recent upheavals have shaken each character's sense of stability and purpose. Hope Logan Spencer, increasingly isolated within her own fashion line, finds herself questioning whether loyalty to Forrester Creations has come at too high a personal cost, as every interaction with Thomas Forrester feels charged with unspoken history and unresolved pain, leaving her torn between professionalism and self-preservation. The absence of Deke Sharp lingers like a phantom in the design office, and Hope cannot shake the feeling that his firing marked not just the loss of a colleague but the beginning of a slow erosion of the ideals that once defined Hope for the future, an erosion that makes her wonder if she is slowly losing control over the very dream she fought to build. Steffi Forrester Finnegan, outwardly resolute, begins to sense a subtle shift in how others respond to her authority, as once easy alliances grow strained and moments of silence replace open dialogue, forcing her to confront the possibility that her uncompromising leadership style may be breeding quiet resentment rather than respect. Though she refuses to second-guess her decision regarding Deke, Steffi cannot entirely ignore the ripple effects, especially as Ridge Forrester gently encourages her to consider the human cost of her choices, advice she absorbs reluctantly, even as it plants seeds of introspection she would rather avoid. Meanwhile, Katie Spencer pours herself into her new fashion venture with renewed determination, using the pain of her confrontation with Brooke Logan Forrester as fuel rather than deterrence, determined to prove that her ambition is not a betrayal of family but an affirmation of self-worth. Yet the emotional distance between the sisters remains palpable, and Brooke, burdened by guilt and pride in equal measure, struggles to reconcile her instinct to protect with her fear of being left behind, realizing too late that her skepticism may have driven a wedge where support was most needed. In the margins of these unfolding dramas, Deke Sharp's perseverance offers a quiet but powerful counter-narrative, as his refusal to give up on his creative ambitions serves as a reminder that setbacks, however painful, can become catalysts for reinvention. Together, these converging paths underscore the enduring theme that in this world, growth is rarely painless, and every step forward demands courage, humility, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, ensuring that the emotional stakes remain high as the story pushes inexorably toward its next reckoning.